All right, you might remember I told you I started paying more attention to everything because of the disappearing objects phenomenon, and then I realized how many mistakes you can make with an item. Doorbell rings, you have the item in your hand, you go to another room, you talk to the person at the doorbell, or you might go to the bathroom, you set something down, and it drops off the table and goes underneath it, and you don't see it. So I started paying more attention to stuff. So anyway, this morning I got up 7:30, had a quick breakfast, looked around for my emails and stuff. I shut out the house at 8 o'clock. Now it took an hour to get over to where there's a yard sale. A little over an hour. It's actually 4 miles away, short of using the shortcut. So I get there, and there was only four people that had stuff for sale, but two of them had good collection of movies. And one guy I got three movies for $2, and one woman I got a movie for $2. So that's it. That makes my day. So now I got to come back, and now the temperature is 80 degrees, which that's impossible for this time of year. But it was 80 degrees when I turned around to come back, and that's been going on. Remember, I had this really hot July, second hottest July, you know. So we get to August, and August we had some cool days, and then we get into September, and every day is almost 80 degrees again. Which, when you're older, if you try to go outside in the sun, it's going to kill you. All right. So I start thinking, where's my time going? All right, you go over. Takes a little over an hour to get over to the yard sales. You walk around, you talk to people, and then I have a habit of bumping into people I know, going over and coming back. So by the time I get in the house, and I'm shocked because it's 4 miles over, 4 miles back. 73 years old, that's 8 miles. And I cook stuff real quick in the microwave. I eat, and then I take a nap. So, and after the nap, I went down and I do the next step on the oven. And I took all the tools out of the oven, and I decided to get some paper towels and wet them and wipe the inside of the oven down. Not to get the grease of cooking oil. I start finding powder from that element that self-destruct. It's like cement. It's getting on the paper towel, soaking wet, and I realize it's going to be like 6 paper towels worth of this dust, heavy like rock, and that heating element is like a type of carbon composite of some sort. So just just cleaning the inside of the oven real quick took a while. It went a lot longer than I expected. I put the element in, stuck the two things into the back of the thing and out, and made sure they come out the back where I can reach them and put the terminal on. And then later on I'll go in, because my rotator cuffs give me a little funky from swinging my arms. I swing my arms when I walk. So I swung my arms for 3 hours total. And so later on I go down to the oven, put the two screws in to hold the element, put the door back on, put the racks back in, and then go to the back of the oven. Now, I have a crimp tool to crimp the terminal. Which I don't see the terminal. See, this is how, here it is. This is how disappearing objects happen. You know, the terminal was over here on top of the radio. I started working the little pieces that have to be bent over. I'm going to go look. I have a crimp tool, but it's a cheesy crimp tool, and I never really learned how to use the cheap one. Now, I worked with crimp tools, Amphinols. They ratchet close. I don't know if you've ever dealt with those, but my first job, I could spend 3 days in a row just crimping terminals for sub-assemblies for some type of electronic gear for the government. And then we had these flea clip ones, real tiny ones, and it was a special air-driven crimper. And the whole time I worked for that company for 3 years, I would come in and I'd put so much time on that little flea crimper unit because nobody wanted to do it. Now you had to put the flea clip on the end of you had a what you call you had a pin vise like this, and you had a post in here, and the post was turned out on the end to the size that the flea clip would take. So you put the flea clip on the end of the post, and then you held it in the back of the machine, and the jaws would come in. You added the wire in through the front. Nobody could do it except me. He tried everybody on there because, he paid me, I think, 50 cents an hour more than everybody else. So he finally gave into it. And you had to do white and black wires, so many of each in a box. And they were stripped on one end, and they got tinned. It went into little solenoids for star magnetics. Well, anyway, the whole time I worked there, I would do. He put my boxes of terminals in storage in this closet because he knew he had periods of time where he needed me on another job. But I know how to do terminals. We did it in there. On certain terminals, we didn't have a crimper, so you would actually fold. There's two little flaps on the terminal. If you look at them, and they get shaped by the Amphenol. But when you don't have the right Amphenol tool, you fold one over the wire, and then you fold the other one back the other way. But I'm so nervous that I'm going to screw that terminal up. That's what's, I got a lot of self-doubt. See, when you work in a company and you have a bucket full of parts, right? You don't care if you screw up. I bent that one wrong. You throw in the garbage. You got a whole bucket load, and every time the job comes in, they send you another bucket of connectors and our terminals. And then in the back room, we had ones that were left over from the job. See, I used to go in. He used to make me close up at 9 o'clock at night. He'd go home. And I go in the back, and it was like Candyland for me. All the stuff in the back room was leftover parts from the jobs. And I would just take whatever the frick I wanted. One time I asked him, he says, yeah, just take whatever you want. That's leftover stuff. And then he started giving me some of this stuff. But I knew what to pick, what was really worth the money. And I'm a little shy on doing that terminal. But I'm going to tell you this. Being able to do the terminal in the back of the oven, out in the light, that's going to make life a lot easier. See, I would have had to climb in the oven and put my elbows down on the inside of the oven, put a light there, and worked with the terminal and the wire, stripping it and everything while inside the oven. So I've taken this to a new level, especially if you were to read what I read. They tell you to go inside the oven, and you have any other problem other than the element being bad. If you just have the element bad, it'll be fine. You can do it from the front of the oven without pulling it out from the wall. But if a wire disappears into the back, or one of the wires burns away, you have to pull the oven out. And now I'm looking at it. You know what? The next time that element goes bad, I'm pulling the oven out, and I'll be able to inspect the terminals and everything before I touch anything. All right? That's where we're at now. But I just want to tell you, I pay attention to where my time is going to. I'm retired. But, and one guy mentioned my shed. I don't know. I thought I was talking about my neighbor's shed. But anyway, my shed has a new roof on it when I bought the house. So the four walls, was it four? One? Yeah, the four walls are kind of rotted out on it. But it doesn't let the lawnmower get wet or any of the tools that are in there. So my neighbors, I don't have any carpenter ants here anymore. They mysteriously all disappeared. His basically caved in, his shed, his big shed, and he's over there rebuilding it. And carpenter ants only eat wood that's wet, and that's what was over there. Now the carpenter ants all seem to be gone. I was baiting them. I was going crazy. I kept asking my neighbors, do you have any big black ants? Right? No, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he's got his project, and I got to do the fence next. The fence that blew over, and I couldn't locate the nails. I'm going to have to buy the nails as a cartridge for a nail gun, and then cut the nails free of that woven mesh or whatever it is that holds the nails so it can go into the gun. And the nails are special. They have rings on the shank, and that's because the wood that's used in the fence is so crappy. When it gets wet, it warps. If you use regular nails, it pulls the nails out. You can use screws. I have those epoxy plated screws. I think they're orange or yellow, and I do use them on a picket that starts coming loose. I drive one of them in there, All right, so I go around on my fence once a year, and I shore it up, and I'm way past the life expectancy of the fence, and so I know what's going on with it. But what happened was the wind gust just took a two section of the fence and it snapped it. It snapped the post. It snapped it. The post was not rotted. It snapped it, and the cement part stayed in the ground. That was a nightmare digging that out. Soil's very easy here, but once I dug it out, I didn't have the strength to lift the. It's probably 50 pounds. It could be an 80-pound bag of cement plus the weight of the post. But the post was snapped off even with the cement. So what I basically did, I put a shovel down in the hole, and I rolled it up on the shovel, and I pulled the shovel out. Now on YouTube, there's a guy that shows you how to take a post out of the ground, and you dig a hole alongside the cement part, and then you just pull the post over, and it worked. I had to use a bar because my wooden post was snapped off. But if you still have the wooden post, you can take that wooden post out with the cement all in one piece just by digging a hole alongside it and then tilting it towards that hole, and it comes right out. You can put your new post back in there and center it and pour your cement in. I don't get the normal stuff. My post was broke right off. So I just want to tell you, yeah, we're still going along, and I got each one of these movies is less than $1. So it worked out. I went over there, and it's an old community, a lot of old people there, but two of them had a lot of movies. But they had movies I already have. And the one woman, she talked me into this one here. And I don't know. I don't know anything about the newer movies because maybe because I don't have ABC, and maybe ABC still plays movies on television, or there's really no new movies on television anymore. I knew NBC used to run Disney movies for whatever reason once in a while, and I was seeing certain ones, and then I got into buying Pixar movies, like Up and Wall-E. There's another one. Well, anyway, I started the Dancing Penguins. I think I had that one. I had a guy at the church that every flea market he had about 20 tables of movies. He had Blu-rays. He had a Disney section, a Pixar section. And I stand there talking to him. He says, "There's no money in this anymore." He says, "I set up, nobody buys." He says, "You?" I said, "Yeah." And I used to kick and scream, because a Pixar movie, yeah, I think he wanted $5, which for me, it's a movie. It's a good movie. You watch it more than once, and for $5, and then you can resell it at your yard sale for $2. But yeah, I've been paying attention to where my time's going. And it was so funny, I get down there, and the first wet towel that went around the base of the inside bottom of the oven come out with like cement. I'm like, oh man, because there was a good 6-inch section of that carbon rod, the element that disappeared. So it's all there. So I took like 6 or 7 wipes and to get that all cleaned up. And then I put the element in, stuck it through the back hole, and tilted it up. Went in the back, and there's the two in the back. You can put the clip on and off from the back of the oven. And later on, I'll sit in the chair and put the 2 screws on that are in the oven, so I don't have to climb in the oven. Things are getting better, but I do things in stages. Because you go there, all I have to do is put the element in the oven, get the tools out of the oven. No, the bottom of the oven is covered with like a cement substance once you wet it because of the element self-destructed. The last time the elements got hot spots in them, and they just burnt through. This one, and then I read on, like I said, Amazon review, and someone said it ruined my oven. I can see that. I can see how it ruined the oven. If the repair guy comes out and he doesn't want to put a new terminal on the wire, he don't know what the hell happened. I can see that. All right, that's where that's going. And then the people that said, at least you don't have a wife that makes you buy a new oven. Well, around the corner, the people that I'm taking in their garbage, I think the top element just went zzz. All right, you turn the oven off, you turn that element off, and you unplug it, and you go get it. She made her husband buy a whole new oven. So I do realize that what this guy's saying is correct. She says, no, it made a noise. I don't want the oven anymore. And they don't have no money. You have no money. You borrow it from your relatives. You buy a new stove, and you put it in a house that you're having trouble paying off. That there's so many bad decisions going on. You know, I know the husband's smart enough to just disconnect the element. The top elements you just pull out. They unplug. And you go get another one. You used to be able to buy those stupid things at the grocery store at one time, those elements. And I used to see them. My father says, oh, that's for electric stove. They go bad all the time because you spill stuff into them, right? So, yeah, they used to be, every hardware store had them. And the little dishes that go underneath them. There used to be a commercial with a woman yelling to her husband to get new ones. And she didn't know what they were called. And she's describing it. He comes back with them. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's stupid stuff. It's stupid. It's really stupid stuff. And I'm sitting there the other day, I'm like, maybe I'll take a trip up to the Radio Shack. Maybe I'll do this. I want to do something there. Well, I guess I won't be doing that. I'll be figuring out how to fix the oven. And why did it go bad again? I think that's it. All right, that's it.